obviously, if there is a problem in a situation, people get together and they start thinking. And luckily, the local people in this catchment, a few years ago, they put money together to buy from Private Forest Tasmania this aerial photo. This is a satellite photography from April 2004. I mentioned it earlier. And there's boundary lines. There's a couple of, you can see here, there's yellow boundary lines. This is the catchment. Here, that's the North East River catchment. And over here, that's the St. Patrick's River catchment.
Someone should hold it.
And our last stop, we were over there. And now, and then we travelled the road. We were actually here, is where the bridge was. That's where we stopped.
Hold the map up so you can...
Just one up the back.
Well done, Gabby.
Oh, that makes it easier. Okay. And our first stop here, here's the road in red. We actually, with our bus, we did this round trip around this farm here, and at the bottom, and come back, and we would be here. Here's the hall, just went along. Okay, so that's where we are right now. And we actually travelled around this farm. The pink colour that you see there is disturbed soil. So wherever there's pink, somebody has ploughed around on the ground or logged it very hard. This bit here was a logging coup, possibly 250, maybe 300 hectares in size. You should be able to see it, especially up there. And depending what Terry suggests, we'll actually get there. There's some interesting observation I made from this point. I was up here 2 weeks ago with a financial journalist, and she was most impressed with what she saw. Yeah, it was depressing, but she was amazed. Okay. So what we will do is we have our major stop here first, then we will drive from, we will actually go this, later on we will drive along this road. We will be in this area here, and there will be some logging coupe, so we can get out of the bus again and walk around that area. There will be some stream where we can look at some rainforest. There will be some devastating things as well. And then we will travel further this road, and we come, here's our mountain, Mount Barrow. So we drive around Mount Barrow, you cross over the catchment, and here you see all these orange lines. These orange lines are actually the boundaries of existing hardwood plantations. The green lines are pine plantations. So there's not much in terms of pine in this area. There's a little bit over here. The majority of pine is actually there and outside this photograph. So Messina Fingal Valley is over there. And so today you can observe already, before even travelling there, there's a huge amount of the St. Patrick's River catchment is planted out with Eucalyptus nitens. So with short rotation hardwood plantation, just like what we see over here. Right? And it is almost like skin cancer, it just takes over the whole landscape. And the problematic that I find with this huge pulp mill proposal is that it's completely out of proportion. It is not at arm's length from forestry. It is it's actually dominating what's happening within a 100-kilometre radius around the mill to keep the costs down. And our landscape is far too fragile and too special. And the fact that Launceston relies on the continued supply of water, but also the landscape values, and a whole range of issues, socially, environmentally and commercial considerations have been virtually neglected. And hopefully we can stop this process.
We will stop it.
We will. Yes, I'm determined. I'm with you. And now there's only one way we're going to win this. However, it will take decades and centuries to restore the catchments. The kind of forestry that I visualize, I'm happy to talk about that later on in the forest itself, is being responsible to the actual site. You have to have so-called site-specific management, and that respects and assesses the forest for its social, environmental and commercial considerations. So there are areas that are simply too dangerous to be in with the kind of method that is being used now, or would be used, and I would suggest saying, oh, you can't do this forest because if you leave too many trees standing, you're going to kill someone. Now, that's the last thing I want, that somebody gets hurt. I've been involved in forestry now for 32 years. I came to Tasmania 20 years ago. Just 20 years ago, I was packing up my container, my two little children, and my wife. We came in on the 13th of November 1987.
The children and the wife in the container?
Safekeeping now. We came by plane and the container followed us. So we came by plane. However, I started in Tasmania as a training development officer for the forest industry. So I was an import to fix certain problems. Rather than seeing forestry as a holistic approach, I was confronted with a situation where it was about tree growing. Simplistic tree growing, right? And don't ask too many questions, so to speak. Just keep it kiss, simple, you know, simple, stupid. And I very quickly was told I shouldn't make any waves and I shouldn't rock the boat. I said, what do you mean? Rock the boat? You know, I just talk about proper forestry. So I was confronted with a mining industry, with a forest mining industry, and I became one of their biggest critique. But it was, the industry was able to shut me out and close me out by just keeping me out of safety committees, whereas before I was the expert, I suddenly was the enemy. It's very sad that that happens in Tasmania, but I'm not alone. So there's a heap of other people that have spoken out about various issues, and if it doesn't suit the regime, you're out. But we have survived, and my family has held to me, and I'm glad that that is the case, because I think there's still a few more years to go, and we can bring about this change. Right, so who's next? Who wants to have a go?